Happy Wednesday evening, everyone. We are halfway through the game week. Another Ohio State game is great. Never take it for granted, y'all. These go quick. We are going to blink and we're going to have playoff selections and, final ranking. Listen, enjoy this every week, y'all, of Buckeye football. Do me a favor, hit that like button if you have not already. And also consider subscribing if you have not already. And if you have not already, why not? You here every night. Go ahead and subscribe. Hit that bell so that you get notifications when we go live. And we're going to talk about very interesting topic. There's been some analysts and pundits and film guys discussing like, man, this Ohio State team, comparing them to last year, surprised by what they're seeing, etc. So we wanted to talk about that, comparing the 2024 team and the 2025 team position by position. So we're going to do that. Should be fun. Also, remember, when you send your wonderful super chats, helps go towards the Pay It Forward, which is the military and our first responders. We're going to look out for them because they always look out for us. Nevada Buckster, what's up, sir?
Oh man, just Wednesday hump day. We're getting
Yeah,
ready to, we're getting ready to it gets serious now. The boys are pretty much done with the preparation. Thursday be light, obviously, and then you got Friday and Saturday game day. But through the 2 big weeks of or excuse me, 2 big days of preparation and getting ready for the Illini on Saturday. So yeah, a lot of excitement going on around the campus, around the Woody Hayes, and I'm excited for Saturday, man. I'm super excited for Saturday. But as you said, I'm excited for every game because these seasons, these games, these weeks go by too fast, and
yeah.
then we're into the vast wasteland of just no college football, and we hate it until it comes back again. So yeah, enjoy every game because they go too quickly. That's for sure.
Yeah, man. I learned that lesson so long ago. And people are still, there are some people in Nevada who just refuse to learn that lesson. they they will spend their entire season not enjoying, leaning more into the perceived negative than enjoying the positive. I encourage you to enjoy the positive. And this is a heck of a team, y'all. Heck of a team. And we're going to talk about that. And also, if we get the chance, Nevada, I kind of want to dip a little bit into the drum beat of the Ohio State hasn't played anyone is just louder and louder, and it's hilarious. Okay, some of the excuses. Somebody made a graphic of, like, how you do like the steps, the cycle, and I gotta pull it up if I can, but it just talks about the hater fans. They pump a team up, and then we beat their brains out, and then they were overrated, and then there's like a couple other steps. It's just crazy. Any of y'all have been on social media? And listen, I know this is trivial. This is just banter. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It's just funny and interesting that the haters are just, now that Texas has lost, see, you haven't played anybody, so Sands numbers are trash, and it's just goofy, Nevada. So I would love to kind of hit on that towards the end if possible.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, look, it's just here you got to understand if you write another article about how great Ohio State is, nobody pays attention. You know what I'm saying? Like that. So you have to come up with a negative thing. You have to come up with a negative spin. They're inexperienced. They haven't played anybody. The Big Ten's weak. I mean, pick a topic. That's what
Right.
you got to go. I mean, think about last or 2 weeks ago you had Rick Neuheisel predicting that we'd lose at Washington, and I said at the time, I'm like, look, Rick's a big friend of the show, great guy. But like, if he just says Ohio State's going to beat Washington, nobody pays attention. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But if he goes, oh, Washington's an upset alert, then he gets attention, he gets clicks, he gets hate from Ohio State guys. Everybody's there, and heaven forbid it happened. Then he looks like the Oracle of Omaha. And instead,
Yeah.
he lost, and nobody gives him any garbage about that because like, oh, you were predicting a big upset. So it's just like you said, it's rinse repeat. We love to build people up, and then we love to tear them down. And the Buckeyes are at the top of the mountain right now, so we're not going to get many kudos. We're just going to get arrows at this point in time, and that's just part of being number one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just what it is. Like I said, I'm used to it. I know it. I'm aware of it, but it's one of those things where I'm not going to get bent out of shape over it, but I'm also annoyed by it because I'm more annoyed by goofy, low IQ football fans and trolls who just, like, come on, at least be a good troll. That annoys me more so than the narrative because I know it's stupid. But with that said, before we get cracking off here, disclaimer: before we get into this 2024 comparison to 2025 team, I am fully aware that this is literally a red Lambo versus silver Bentley. Like, which one you want to roll out today on the strip? You know what I'm saying, Nevada? Like, I'm aware of this. I just wanted to put that on the screen to let you know, like, this is like a rich man's conversation on the golf course type of thing, right, Nevada?
Yeah, these are definitely first world problems for sure when we're comparing the greatness of 2024 to the potential greatness of 2025. Um, and truth be told, I'll start just kind of bury the lead here and start from the front. I thought the 2024 team was the best team in Ohio State history, but here, let me tell you why. The reason I believe that is because no Ohio State team's ever run a gauntlet like that team did.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And to to beat Tennessee, Oregon, Texas, and Notre Dame on consecutive weeks or whatever it was, I mean, I still stand in awe of it. I remember the day that the bracket came out for the championship, and I
Oh,
remember looking at it and thinking, Ohio State is the best team in this in college football because I firmly believe that last year. But can we put it together enough to run this? I mean, I know you only win them one at a time, but man, when you line those games up, and at the time I thought it'd probably be Georgia in the semifinal, or Georgia in the final rather, not
yeah.
Notre Dame, but it looked it looked daunting. It looked really,
Yeah.
really daunting. And a lot of people predicted us to go out in the first round. So when they were able to win
Yep.
that, and not only win that, but win every game by double digits, I, to me, that they deserve on the pantheon of great. So up until that point in time, I thought the 2024 team was the best team that I'd ever seen, and certainly the best defense of the modern era of college football. I think it's different comparing teams from like the 70s to teams from 2025 because the offenses are just so different. I mean, if you go
Right.
back and watch a game from 1973, the old thing about 3 yards in a cloud of dust, it really was 3 yards in a cloud of dust. I mean, they lined up and ran into the middle of the line like every play, and it was a test of manhood every time. But like spread offenses or passing the ball or anything like that, that was kind of witchcraft. And yeah, so I think for the 2024 team just had so much going for it, to top it off with 14 NFL draft picks. So the bar is set really, really high for me to talk about the 2025 team or any team being in the neighborhood of 2024 for all the reasons that I just said, because how much they accomplished on the field, how much they accomplished off the field with the NFL draft picks, and
Yeah.
just the accomplishments that they had. So yeah, they were simply amazing.
Yeah, that's a great that's great insight, great points. And a couple things. I want to elaborate more on their off the field stuff. Um and I'm not saying I'm necessarily including this in the comparisons because this is really just an on field comparison, but off the field they were so impactful. Just from the a leadership standpoint, an impact in the community standpoint. I mean, you got young men, with the like leading baptisms and, regardless of what you believe, religiously, to me, I think that belongs in the positivity category. So, community positively affecting, no off the field issues, a bunch of young men that you would love your daughter to date, from the Abukas to the Hendersons, just crazy. Will Howard, it's just the team itself, the aura, everything is amazing. And then also, about your point with beating those teams in the playoffs. I mean, remember, Nevada, and chat and everybody watching, it's so funny that the same people who try to downplay and call it a Mickey Mouse natty, those same people were like singing loud with their whole chest, "Ding dong, the Wicked Witch is dead," when that bracket came out, because it was dawning. We definitely got the short end of the stick. And listen, we lost. We lost at home to a bad scum team. I'm not even crying about that. But the fact is the fact that it was a gauntlet. And so the doubters and haters and they were just ready to bury us. Oh, they were celebrating. They were doing the Cabbage Patch for those young people out there. It's an old 90s dance called the Cabbage Patch. Anyway, they were celebrating. And not only did we win those games, we won by double digits. Absolutely amazing. So, yes, the bar is set high. And also, another disclaimer, we understand the season is not complete. So, we're really going off of what we've seen so far, skill set for skill set, talent for talent. We know this team has to complete their mission, but it's just a position by position comparison. So, if you got anything on that, we can jump on it, Nevada.
No, I think it's a great point. Yeah, I mean, comparing 5 games to comparing a team that ran through 16, um, we understand that there's some, a bit of illogicacy, if that's a word, but it's illogical to compare them. But we're going to do it anyway, just based upon our we're going to use common sense, and and I tell you, B Moses and I have not compared answers on this, so we may have different
Yeah,
answers on how we go this. But let's start at the quarterback position. Rather than, let's go right to the top. Go
yeah.
quarterback position. 2024 Will Howard versus 2025 Julian Sand.
Mm.
Who you got? And the criteria is, if you were forming a team now for like a game tomorrow or whatever it would be, who would you trot out there? And it could be 2020, not the 2024, not the 2025, or you call it even. And yeah, I'm gonna let you go first on this one on the quarterback.
Of course you are. It's the hardest one. You're sticking it to me.
Sticking it to B, man.
Nah, because this is rough and you got to allow me a second to talk through it. Because your criteria that you just set was if we were playing a game. You said if we were starting the team and playing a game tomorrow, like just
Yeah,
one game.
one game.
Ooh, that makes it harder because you got Will Howard, who's a proven champion, although he's not as skilled, in my opinion, and doesn't have the ceiling of Julian Sand. And Julian Sand's only played 5 games. So it's all right. So
because we can't really project Julian saying out to 26 and 27
right.
and what he's gonna be or whatever it
That's
was.
tough, man.
We can only deal with what he is, and yeah.
I'm gonna have to go Will Howard. I'm gonna have to go Will Howard. Like I have to, right? Because if you and I'll explain because okay, you can't just say, well, you're going to take the Will Howard in the first 6, 7 games, or you're going to take the Will Howard in the playoff. I mean, like it's all one package, and he obviously climbed the mountain. And look, I mean, his stats. He broke the record. Let me see. Set Ohio State single season and career completion percentage with completing 71.4% of his passes. Okay. He also set Ohio State record with 8 games with at least an 80% completion percentage. So even though Sayan has a higher ceiling of accuracy and skill and pure quarterback play, Will Howard, by the end of the season, was no bum. And he had the tangibles of being a great leader and leading the huddle. And then, of course, his running ability. I mean, bro, that criteria messed me up. I have to go with Howard. Have to.
I'm going Will Howard too.
Okay.
I'm going Will Howard. It's tough, but
Oh,
the experience and just the leadership and the running ability just pushes it over there. But that was a tough one. That was a
yes.
tough one. And the fact that's even a tough one with a freshman that's played
Good point.
5 games is really a tribute to the potential greatness of Julian Sane,
Yeah.
who's on an absolutely historic run and could leave here. I have no question saying he'll leave here as the greatest quarterback that ever played Ohio State. But right now I'm going with Will Howard. So let's go on down the line. Let's go running backs now. This one's I think it's gonna be a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Do
And
you want me to
I'll
go first? Do you want me to go first on running backs, or you're gonna go first?
no, I'll let you go first for the easy one. I'm not gonna stick it to
Uh,
you.
yeah, I'm gonna go with 2024 running backs. Yeah, I think
Ooh.
yeah, it's kind of a little spicy, but yeah, Travion and Quinchon. Um, clearly better than anything we have in 2025, and frankly, I don't think it's really even close.
Okay, so but let me ask you this because that's the obvious answer. But to kind of fill in the gap on the obvious answer, do you think Bo Jackson's upside is greater than Judkins and Henderson as a complete back, projecting not only a great college player but to the NFL with his size?
No,
Okay, so another follow up question: out of Judkins and Henderson, do you believe both of them have a higher ceiling, or just one of them, and which one?
I think as an NFL player or as a college player,
Let's go NFL
I'd
since they're
say as
both
an
in the NFL.
I think that I mean, I think Bo and Quinshawn are pretty similar players.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're pretty similar players. And Travion just had that top end breakaway speed
Yeah.
that it's just so rare. Yeah, I can't even I'm trying to think about somebody who's a comparison on that, and it's just hard to come up with anybody. But I'd say Bo and Quinshawn are pretty comparable. But it's that one extraordinary attribute of Henderson's speed, I think, that sets him apart.
Yeah. I think I think Bo Jackson, to your point, because he doesn't have Henderson speed, he reminds me of Trey Sermon. Trey Sermon had really good speed. He had really good, how can I put it? He wasn't someone that you say, oh, he's gonna run a fast 100, like Olympic fast 100, but he was fast. He when he broke to the second level, he was so good. And he had that stride. He was similar size as Bo Jackson. But Bo Jackson's combination of size, power, keep them legs chopping, vision, burst, his talent and skill to elude defenders. I think his ceiling is just as high as Judkins, if not a little better potentially. Like for
Okay.
real. I think he's going to be really, really good. But yes, that's an easy one. Like, come on. But yeah, I just want to shout out Bo Jackson because I do think Bo Jackson at least is potentially ceiling wise in the same team picture as Judkins, and you would agree. It sounds like
Absolutely. Now
okay,
I'm gonna throw an easy one to you now. Okay,
okay, all right,
2024 Emeka, JJ Smith, and Carnell Tate versus 2025 JJ Smith, Carnell Tate, Brandon Ennis.
okay. So I'm definitely going to go with 2024
You're gonna go
because
2020. Okay.
because here's the thing, even though this Carnell Tate is better.
Better, no question.
That's the
Yes.
key. That's
Yeah.
and I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Okay. Because my hope in the offseason was that Carnell Tate was going to get better. And I know that sounds negative. He was already a very good player, but to me, there was another gear, another level, and we're seeing it. We are seeing it. Like last year, I was like, they keep saying he's the first rounder. I'm like, maybe, but I just don't see it on the field yet as a definite first rounder. This year, we're seeing it. Like, yep, that's it. He hit another gear. Now, with that said, Ennis is still in, and shout out to Ennis. I've been on the Ennis train. I still think he has a role. He needs to step into it, and the offense needs to give him the ball in order to step into it, to be fair. But JJ Smith shouted him out in the press conferences today, basically saying, don't sleep on him. He's a playmaker. He just needs more, uh, reps or not reps or, targets. So, but we still haven't really seen it. So I think I have to go with 2024 because Carnell Tate last year was still pretty darn good. JJ Smith was what he was, and Abuka was a dog. So 2024.
Yeah, I think you got to go 2024, even though I could not agree with you more about Carnell Tate. I always thought Carnell Tate was a good player, but I didn't think he was a great player.
Yeah,
I thought he was like a second, third round guy. I didn't see
exactly.
first round talent.
Yep.
This year I'm like, no, now I see it.
No question.
No question about it. So he's the next great one, and then JJ's the next great one. So the Ohio State assault on the NFL wide receiver rushing books is just going to continue, and it's just going to get worse. So, but yeah, then it really comes down to You've got an upgrade of JJ Smith's better than he was last year. Carnell's better than he was last year, but is a Mecca to Brandon Innes. I don't think that's close. And
No.
so I think we've got a third edge to 2024. So now how about offensive line? I'll give you offensive
Ooh.
line. Now
Ooh,
and
ooh, ooh.
and for just to kind of put it, we're gonna put the offensive line at the end of the year last year. Not you can't include
Ooh.
Jimmy Simmons and you can't include um Seth McLaughlin because they were hurt. So I mean, and I know that's a tough criteria, but I'm gonna throw those two out because they were injured at the last year. So the 2024 offensive line versus the 2025 offensive line. Who do you got?
Darn you, Nevada. In my Skeletor voice. Um, no, that's good. That's a good monkey wrench wrinkle. So it's funny. Let me pull this up. Let me interact with this. I was just looking at this these stats. And remember, I predicted Joe Moore Award for this Ohio State O-line scoopers who watched this show. So I'm very high on this year's line. Um, so here's some stats. Number 5 in run defense. Hold on. Yep. Number 5 in against, I'm sorry. I think they said it wrong, but it says run defense, but I think it's I don't know what they're saying. Number 6 in sacks per game, number 9, number 19 total uh TFL per game. So I don't know if he put the wrong stats on here. Maybe he did. But I was basically they got the O line graphic, but the wrong stats on here. And so I'm gonna pull it up on my phone because I got the right stats on my phone because this is significant. All right, here we go. Two things. I'll just name two. Number 1 in fewest tackles for losses allowed, and number 4 fewest sacks allowed. Okay, those are two big criteria. It's kind of hard to gauge O lineman, as opposed to like a receiver in their yards and all the other stuff. This line has been phenomenal. I would even argue, Nevada, that the 2 sacks that they gave up were on Sand. He could have got rid of the ball, and it really wasn't like somebody just got pushed around and he got sacked. This line has been really, really good. Now, the run blocking needs to continue to improve. So let me compare that to the end of year last year, which just makes this harder, man, because they played with their hair on fire. And it's just like Donovan Jackson. Oh, this is tough. This might be low key just as tough, if not tougher than the quarterback position. How you've laid out the criteria, Nevada. And so, give me 10 seconds to give me my final answer for this. Oh, no, Josh Simmons too. I got to go with this year. I'm going with this year. I'm sorry. I think this O line has a little more nasty. I think, yeah, I'm gonna go with this year by a hair. Just because I feel like, and this may go outside of the criteria, I believe at the end of the year, this O line is just going to be unquestionably better. That's just how I feel.
Yeah, I'm going with 2025. I mean, basically, I'm looking
Oh,
at four
I thought you
four
was going to go
guy
with last year. Okay.
no four guys that are better versions of themselves in 2025 and 2024. So you've already upgraded 4 of the 5 positions, in my opinion. And I think Philip Daniels has been great at right tackle. So I'm going with um, yeah, I'm going with the 2025 line. Um, yeah, as an upgrade. And yeah, we had looked at those lists preseason. Remember, there was that top 25 list of offensive lines. They didn't even have Ohio State on the list. It was
Crazy.
like crazy. Now, one other thing I want to share, one other thing, a little bit off. It's not off topic, but it's not on this thing. But I thought it was a really interesting insight. I read this from the helping technician today, and I was like, oh man, that makes a lot of sense. He was talking about the offensive line, and he's like, one of the things that's inhibiting the offensive line a little bit in the running game, where people criticize them in the running game, is the number of RPOs that we're running right now,
Yeah.
because they can't drive block down the field on the
True.
RPOs because they don't know whether it's going to be coming out or whether it's going to be a run play. And I thought that was a terrific insight. I thought that was
Yeah.
a really, really, that's a really, really smart point that he made, and something that I hadn't really thought about and hadn't seen anywhere else. And I read that and I'm like, wow, that's a really, really the smart
Definitely.
point. So maybe the run game's not. quite, I mean, also when you're evaluating the run game, you got to evaluate the running backs. You know what I'm saying? And we've already agreed the running backs were an upgrade. Were better last year than this year. So maybe the running game not looking quite as good. Partially on the running backs, partially on the number of RPOs that we're running, and yeah, I'm going to go with the 2025 offensive line.
Yeah.
So last position, tight end, tight end position, 2024 versus 2025.
Oh, it's definitely 2025.
Easy.
It
Yeah,
easy. That's another easy. That's as easy as the running back one.
yeah.
Adding Max Clare and then adding guys we had last year, stepping up. So yeah, easily 25. I ain't got much
Okay.
to say about that.
So we got quarterback, running back, and wide receiver to the 2024 team, but we've got offensive line and tight end to the 2025 group. So pretty close now. Ironically, now again, 16 games versus 5, but last year we averaged 35 points a game. This year we're averaging 37 points a game, but that's obviously will adjust as the schedule
Right.
continues on and stuff like that. But pretty comparable. So that was kind of how we view the offense. Now let's do the defense.
Ooh.
Now we're talking about a defense last year that was number one in the country, 12 points a game. After just an absolutely horrific a schedule of just monster after monster after monster, and
Yeah.
obviously through the first 5 games, we haven't played anything near what we're going to play as we kind of go forward. Let's start with the defensive line. 2024 defensive line versus the 2025 defensive line. Who you going with?
Okay. I mean, and
It's
again,
tough, man. This is
what
tough. It's a really good exercise, though. As a fan, I'm telling you,
it
like this is
is.
it's a really good exercise to kind of think about it and kind of go through the whole thing. And you think about it. These are tough. These are really, really
It,
tough.
it's tough because and listen, I'm going to take my time and elaborate. I'm going to parse out my thoughts because, to your point, the toughness. I'm going to invite you into my mind of my conflict because 2024 was a tale of two teams as far as the positions go, and defensive line was absolutely a tale of two teams. From the standpoint of maybe possibly Ryan Day stepping in and saying, "Nose, get this together" after the Oregon game. Okay. Going from a little bit of too much cage rushy to letting them loose. The Sawyer and JT Tuimoloau that we saw in the back half of the season was not the same guys from the beginning of the season. That D line was ferocious towards the end of the year. But on the flip side, what Matty P and freaking why am I drawing a blank right now? Caden Curry, I kept wanting to say Cage. Caden Curry coming on, and then the defensive line just playing extremely well. McDonald, it's hard because now you got Matty P in the scheme, and it's just like you see them both popping. But with that said, I gotta go with 2024 because what they did towards the end of the season was just amazing. The run stopping, the pass rushing, the sacks were starting to rack up. The Scoop and Sawyer. I mean, yeah, I gotta go with 2024 Nevada.
I'm I'm going with 2025. I'm going with
Ooh,
2020, and it's interesting because a couple things. One, last year, cage rushing has become kind of almost like a curse word. Cage rushing. Oh, the
right.
cage rushing, and we do a lot of cage rushing this year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we
You think
did.
about it, we do. You know what
Washington.
I'm saying? Yeah, that was all cage rushing. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not just like run and gun. So it's interesting how cage rushing. When it's executed properly, can be very effective.
Yes.
It's not, but obviously that night against Oregon, Denzel Burke had a game of a game that he soon forget, and we kind of went there. But you know, the other thing that I think is interesting about the defense line discussions is just how much angst and how many discussions we had in the offseason about the defensive line and about
Right.
how it was
Yeah.
just the end of days, and how can we possibly go. Um, I'm going 2025 line just based on productivity. I think the 2024 line. experience, NFL draft picks, Ohio State legends. But like, if you just you strip the names off, forget the 5-star monikers, number one player in the country for JT Tuimoloau, 5-star, Jack Sawyer, first round draft pick Tyleik Williams, and look at it and kind of go, Cade McDonald. Cade McDonald is an absolute monster.
Oh, yes, he is.
He is a bad man on the defensive line right now. Okay. Caden Curry is playing like the best defensive lineman in the country, like he's first team All American through
Yeah.
5. He is playing like a man possessed, doing all the things. And they're as a group, I just think that they're more productive than last year's defensive line was. I mean, JT Tuimoloau was he was an enigma to me in that, he had that one great game against Penn State his sophomore year, one of the greatest defensive games I've ever seen. The, 2.5 sacks, fumble recovery,
Yeah.
interception for a touchdown. He did everything, but then he would just go long periods of times and not do anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think this defensive line by committee in 2025 under this scheme, I just like it's by a hair. I mean, I could even call it a wash, which would have been unthinkable beginning of the season to think that we were
Yes.
even anywhere near. But I'm going to go with 2025 just by a nose, just based upon productivity. And I realize it's only through 5 games and not the toughest 5 games and not the meat of our schedule yet. But I like the productivity that we're getting in 2025, and I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I don't hate your answer. And again, I think the main thing that everyone should get out of this right here is what Nevada said. I mean, Nevada, our defensive line was pronounced dead by fans and opposing fans before the season. It was marked down in stone as a weakness in this season. Was it not? I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
listen, we do this. This is what we do. And this was, oh, that's a weakness. And so now it is literally a strength. And they haven't even got to the level yet. They're still growing. These guys are still new. So, Kenyatta Jackson is going to get better and better. These guys, Bo Atkinson is playing better than what people think. Don't forget, you got to watch film. Just because a guy doesn't have 3 or 4 sacks doesn't mean he's not affecting the play. Atkinson was all over the place. He was pushing guys. He was collapsing the pocket. He was getting pressure. There was one sack, I believe, Reese ended up getting that Atkinson got his hand on the quarterback and really forced the sack. So, listen, the fact that we're even in a which one is remarkable to me. But to end this before we move on, Matty P, in my opinion, and his scheme and his structure and his attacking defense and everything we got going on, I think really bolsters this group. And of course, Larry Johnson's coaching, which people just try to poo-poo every year, but I digress. But anyway, we can move on if you like.
Yeah, yeah. No, I couldn't agree with you more. It's been well chronicled, the whole disguising of when who they're bringing and cover. Just the amount of deception that's going into the defense that Ohio State's presenting. It's certainly making these guys play better than they might just play, individually. But that's kind of that collective, I think, again, and it is a tribute to Patricia and the great job, the A+++ job, the upgrade job that he's done on this defensive unit that we can even have a discussion. So let's move on to the linebackers now.
Ooh,
So I'm going to go 2024 Sonny Styles, Cody Simon versus 2025 Sonny Styles, Arvell Reese.
can I go first?
Please.
It's 2025. Off of Arvell Reese alone. Like, listen.
Now he played some last year. Arvell Reese played last year.
He
He played.
he
He played a
did,
bit. He played a bit.
but just like Carnell Tate played last year, it was
Yep.
good.
Yep.
Arvell Reese, listen, y'all. I'm just every week he leaves me speechless. Even in this game where he didn't have, all these werewolf type plays that, whatever, he still had a bunch of plays. Like, go watch the film. He's still affecting the game. I mean, you see him and he's just like, this dude is just tossing linemen around, ripping past them. Nevada, he has already, and maybe this is crazy. Maybe I'm crazy, but he is already, I'm going to say it. He's already in the top 5 best linebackers in Ohio State history. I don't care. I don't care what y'all think. Like, and he's not even done yet. He hasn't even finished the season. His size, speed, IQ, physicality, everything that incorporates him is just amazing. I cannot remember a linebacker to compare him to, because you try to say Shazier, who was, he was ferocious, but he was a string bean. He wasn't as big and physical. He wasn't tossing around linemen. Now he was going in there with reckless abandon. He was hard. He will hit you, and he was unafraid, but he didn't have the strength and the size of Arvell Reese. So that's not a direct comparison. I say that to say Arvell Reese is amazing, and I've been watching Ohio State football since I was in diapers, and we've had some great linebackers in Nevada, and Arvell Reese is already up there, man. So 2025, based off of Arvell Reese alone.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't think, and again, I'm the biggest Cody Simon stan in the world, and I thought Cody
Yeah,
Simon was tremendous last year, especially down the stretch. But Arvell, yeah, I mean, some guys level up, like, you can't just look at guys and go, well, this guy's going to be a little bit better from 2024 to 20. Some guys get a lot better. And Arvell Reese has gone from Arvell Reese flashed last year, good player,
he did.
flashed, when he was out there, you kind of noticed him. But now, like you said, I mean, holy guacamole. I mean, he's yeah, I'll whether he's one of the top 5 linebackers of all time in Ohio State, he is certainly in the top 2 with Andy Katzenmoyer of the most athletic
Yeah,
linebackers that I've ever seen at Ohio State. So he's already in the rare air being, compared to the big cat. Um, and yeah, I could not be more impressed with his intellect, his
yeah,
instincts. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can tell when players play dumb. We all know that. We've seen
yes,
players out there, you know what I'm saying, like that. And there have been Ohio State linebackers that have gone on to great NFL careers, super athletic player, but you watch them and you're like, man, is this guy really the smartest player? It doesn't seem like he's the smartest guy out there.
right.
Arvell's everything. Arvell's athletic. He could cover the pass. He could, like you said, he tosses linemen around. Super smart, great instinct. I mean, he's everything that you want in a line, and that's why he's going to go high in the draft as a linebacker, which is crazy because that's not a super premium position in the NFL, but he's going to go high, and you know, couldn't happen to a better kid. But yeah, I've got 2025 linebackers over the 2020, that great 2024 linebacker group. And I don't think I don't think it's not particularly close. And that was kind of crazy talk too. We said that preseason that the
Yeah.
linebackers would be better than Cody Simon, as of last year would be
Mm.
like, no chance. But they are.
And yes, amen to all of that. And 30-second rant before we move on. But this is why I made the thumbnail. I purposely put these comparisons because I was looking forward to these comparisons. I want to give Cody Simon a shout out because Cody Simon, through injuries, his improvement, and everything, how he ended his career to become, he was not an NFL draft pick like that last year. I mean, the year before last year. And what he did, Block O, Rose Bowl MVP. I mean, shout out to Cody Simon and a great kid. I mean, so the fact that it's so easy for Arvell Reese to be picked over that kid,
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, I just wanted to lay that out quickly for y'all that it's just a blessing. It's just we're so spoiled. Incredible, incredible. But anyway, let's move on.
Okay, now we're going to go to the defensive secondary. Defensive secondary. So last year, we're going to do this collectively where you've got Denzel Burke in 2024 Iggy, um, Caleb Downs, and Lathan Ransom
Mm.
versus 2025 Iggy, 2025 Caleb Downs, Jermaine Matthews, Jalen McClain.
Okay. So did you want to go first or am I going first?
Either one you want, man. Either one you
Okay,
want.
I'll take it.
Okay.
So again, I think I got my pick, but just to quickly talk it out, Lathan Ransom to me is the linchpin in this. He's the I loved Lathan Ransom. He played his out of his mind last year. And so his presence gives me pause, even though I feel like, first of all, I'm a pick 2025. I'm going with 2025 because I feel like Jermaine Matthews is, I think he's better than Burke. I think this Iggy is better than 2024 Iggy off the lack of PIs alone, and he was still good last year. And then Caleb Downs is Caleb Downs, and Jaden McClain is a dog. I'm going with 2025, but I hesitate slightly because Lathan Ransom was just so great. I mean, he was great, and so I'll end it there. But that's my thinking, Nevada.
Well, I'm going to throw one more wrinkle in there too. I'm going to throw the nickel back with
Ooh,
just because he was so
ooh,
important.
Hancock, yeah.
Hancock, you got Hancock to Low Styles. Okay, so
Oh, that's
2024
another. Mm.
Hancock to 2025 Low Styles.
Thank you for that because that's ooh
I think
because
it's important. I think that's an important thing.
that is
Jordan Hancock,
important.
we don't win the national championship without Hancock.
Oh, that's a late. That is a late. Ooh, ooh. That's tough because it's clearly Hancock over Low Styles, and I'm not throwing away Low Styles because of a couple of goofy plays he's made because he's good. But oh man, I'm still gonna go with 2025, um, because I feel like Iggy and Matthews, I don't know. It just feels more solid with this version of Iggy, and Matthews a little more reliable than Burke. So it's really close. I mean, like a hair now because of that. You throwing in Hancock. I almost went with 2024 after you said that, bro.
I'm going with a tie.
Ooh,
I'm going with a tie. I
okay.
just because I agree with everything you said. I think Matthews is better than Burke. I think he's better. I think
Yeah.
he's better than Burke. And Iggy is clearly better than last year's Iggy. And Caleb Downs 2025 is better than 2024 just because he's Caleb Downs.
Right.
Um, but Lathan Ransom was a freaking dog, dude. I mean, he was, and as good as Jalen McClain is, he's not Lathan Ransom. And Jordan Hancock was a dog, and as good as Low Styles is, he ain't Jordan Hancock.
Yeah.
I'm calling it a tie. I'm calling it a tie, and which again, crazy talk. Considering how good that defensive backfield was last
Yeah.
year. Um, but I'm going to call it a tie because I just think that there's too many conflicting things. I agree with you. It's
It's
razor
tough.
close, man. It's razor close.
Yeah. And I forgot we can do ties, so it's too late. I missed my opportunity. But dang it, because if anything was tie worthy, it was that. But that is you adding in Hancock was like, ooh, that was a gut punch.
Yeah, that was a
Um,
tough one.
but I'll go with 25 by a hair. So there you go.
Now, special teams, punting, kicking. Punting 2024 McGuire to 2025 McGuire, kicking fielding 2024 to fielding 2025.
Have we even seen McGuire a lot this year?
We haven't punted a lot. We have not punted a lot, no.
I mean, we punted a few times against Texas, and he was bad.
No,
Um,
but let me say let me. I want to say one thing on the punting. I want to say
okay.
one thing on the punting because I think against he was not as good as the Texas punter. Let's just get that out of the way. The Texas
Yeah,
punter was really good. Having said that, his last punt when we needed it the most,
it was. He
he
stepped
really
up.
launched it. He
I agree.
stepped
Yeah.
up. Secondly, the only way to me to evaluate punters is net punting average. And net punting average is distance of the punt less the return. You know what I'm saying? Because if you punt it high in the air and it's 42 yards or whatever it was, and it doesn't get returned, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As opposed to kicking it 47 or 48, but on a line and they catch it and return it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that does matter.
That
And
matters.
what I'll say with McGuire, he doesn't give the other team a lot of space to return punts. You know what I'm saying? So I would just say with his punting, I think it's better than it appears to be because he doesn't allow return yards. And I just think that's one thing I'll say. And I think 2025, I think we're better than we were in 2020. You got two guys that are both returned. They're better versions of themselves. I have a lot more confidence in fielding this year than I did
Yeah.
last year. And I think he obviously came up big in the playoff, and I think that experience will serve him well. So I'm going to go with special teams 2025 unit over 2024.
Yeah, I agree. It's 2025. Fielding is definitely more reliable, although I agree with Ryan Day. He needs to make that 53 yarder. He had the
Yeah.
leg, get the accuracy down, do your job, but he's better this year. But real quick on the special teams, and yeah, fair. When stars aligned, he was hurt, even during the scum game. But to me, begs the question to the chat. Listen, I agree with you, chat. I feel you 1000%. We are the Ohio State University. We have to have elite special teams. How is that not possible? Why can't we get a reliable, big leg, like, hey, this dude is cold kicker? That's one thing Scum has done consistently. They always got a cold kicker for the most part. Why can't we have that? So I agree with you on that, chat. I want to see that change, especially if we're on the Saban Bama domination trajectory. Get them big leg kickers in here ASAP, Nevada.
Yeah, no, I think it's been one of those things where um I think Michigan's had a clear advantage over us in kicking, and it's cost us. I mean, it cost
Yeah,
us, big time. You look back at that game, a couple of years ago that we lost up there, and their kicker kicked like 250-yard field goals, and our guy missed a 41-yard field goal, and we end up losing by 3 points or whatever. What you know what I'm saying? It's
yeah.
like, or 6 points or
Six
so.
points.
I
Yeah,
can't, yeah, 6 points. So it's like, yeah, that stuff has swung the games, many, many times. I wish that I had a good, you know, pithy little answer for why that is. Um, but clearly, what I'll say is obviously our ability to evaluate kickers hasn't been great, and we need to get better at that. And that would seemingly be something that Ohio State could solve, because we've got money and resources and time, and like, come on. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys went and got Brandon Aubrey became a kicker. He was a soccer player, never played football before, played 1 year in the XFL. Now he's the best kicker in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're telling me we can't find a kicker somewhere?
right.
Like,
Come on,
come
man.
on, come on, man. Yeah, yeah. I'm not buying that at all. But that I agree. I think we need to be better. But I like Fielding. I have confidence in Fielding, and I think a senior Jaden Fielding will do good for us, because got that experience. Had that horrible game against Michigan, which a lot of players had horrible games against Michigan, but I think he'll be better for having gone through that, and being a national champion. When we needed him to kick that field goal against Notre Dame there at the end to take away all doubt,
Yep,
drilled it.
he
So
drilled it. True. Yep,
where to go?
I'll give him credit. But yeah, I mean, let's get on that. O State, no excuses. No,
Exactly.
I mean, listen. I got $20 on the NIL. What's your cash app? I'll send it right now. But we need to get on that for sure. So great discussion. I knew this was going to be fun. We got some super chats. We can dive right into Mark from WC. Thanks for being a Scoop Ultra member. We could play 6 top 10 schools and they would still say that's a soft schedule. Yes. Yes, they would. They're idiots. I just hate idiots, Nevada. Can y'all tell I get irritated with idiots? Like, it's one thing that, people, I don't care about disagreeing or having different opinions. At the end of the day, some people are just stupid, and they're clouded by hatred, and it's just drivel. And it's just like, come on, man. Let's if we're going to have a disagreement, let's have an intelligent debate to where, like, okay, that's a fair point. I don't agree because I'm coming from this angle, but that's a fair point. This is just dumb. But this is what happens, Nevada. They're always going to try to discredit us. The media hyped up Texas all offseason. I mean, pump them up, and we beat them at home. Don't really give saying, the opportunity to just go out there and spray around. Very conservative. I feel like I feel like if we played them today, Nevada, even on a neutral site, we beat them by 2 touchdowns, or like 24-7, or something like that. But anyway, I digress. Your thoughts?
Well, yeah, I mean, to the point of, that they would still say that it's a soft schedule. I mean, look, they still call Ryan Day soft, and Ryan Day is what he's won 6 straight games
Right.
against top five
Good point.
opponents. So it's
Right.
like, yeah, I mean, I don't really take it all that seriously in terms of that stuff. And to your point at the beginning of the show, at the end of the day, it's fun to talk about, but it doesn't really matter. It's all going to be
Right.
settled on the field.
Yep.
And for Ohio State, you can only play the schedule that it's laid out in front of you. And I would submit that playing Texas in your out of conference game, because forget the conference games. The conference games, it's either an easy schedule, hard schedule, whatever, but you just got to play it. But you get to pick your out of conference games. We chose to play Texas. There
Right.
wasn't many teams doing that. Everybody else was choosing Furman and Mercer and some Barber College from Charleston or something like that, and we're playing Texas. So yeah, I make no apologies for our schedule. I think our schedule is too hard. If anything, I think we need to make our schedule easier and get out of these big out of conference games going forward. I feel really strongly that that's the right path, and I hope Ross Bjork does that, because I think it's stupid the way we're doing it.
Yeah, I hear you. And listen, Texas defense is still good. They have a quality defense. So, because people I posted something Nevada on my socials, Troy Smith, his quote about how if saying, had Manning as a last name, he would be at the top of the Heisman list with his numbers. And of course he's correct. And the post blew up, and all types of SEC haters, Buckeye haters, expected. But they were basically saying he hasn't played anybody. Texas has it, regardless of how goofy Arch Manning is and how overrated that offense is. Texas still has a solid defense, even statistically, not just by opinion. So whatever, you can keep hating. We're gonna keep winning, and it doesn't matter at the end of the day. So, but anyway, Charles Parker, thanks for the 199. Appreciate you. Jim Jackson, what up, brother? Thanks for the 999. What's up, fellas? Just want to let you both know how much we as a school family appreciate the time you both take to educate, talk Buckeye ball, laugh, and fun with us. Love y'all cats. OH Nevada. And we appreciate you, Jim. This is a good dude. Great guy. Like I said, me and Jim, we were together at the Tennessee game, like going hard in the stands. Like I got footage on Twitter, like just going crazy. Me and this cat. We were on the field before the game and after the game. It's just taking it all in. And so we were there together, seeing the sort of the juices flowing, and you could tell something special was about to happen on the field, watching them warm up, the energy. It was crazy, man. But great dude, Jim Jackson. You that dude. You my guy. You got anything on that, Nevada?
Well, yeah, we just appreciate it. First of all, with a name like Jim Jackson, like, come
Right.
on, how can you not immediately not like have a positive association with that? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'll be like, oh man, Jimmy Jackson. I love Jimmy Jackson. So I don't even know you, Jim, but I like you already. And if you're friends with B Moses, then obviously you're aces in my book, and appreciate you being here, and appreciate all your support and the kind words.
Oh yeah, Jim, man, he definitely has the stamp of approval. B Moses stamp of approval. Great dude, great dude. All right. So Charles Parker, thanks for the 199 again. Okay. Would you rather have Matty P or Brian Hartline?
Oh
Nevada,
man.
you
Oh
go
man.
first.
Wow. Um, I'm going with Brian Hartline, and just because this is a Sophie's choice, like tough one, tough one. I'm going with Brian Hartline just because he's younger. I feel he'll be here longer. He's the key to that unbelievable wide receiver recruiting. As long as Hartline's here, you're going to get all the 5-star wide receivers, which means you're going to get the great quarterbacks. And I think quarterback and wide receiver play is overpowered in college football. So, gun to my head, if I had the choice between Matty P and Brian Hartline, going with Hartline. But Matty P's made it a certainly a difficult choice for sure.
I agree. I'm going with Brian Hartline, and this is not to say it's not tough. This is tough because we love Matty P. That's our guy. Nobody loves Matty P more than the Scoop. I think that's pretty clear. We rocked with him from the very minute of the announcement that he was being named coach until now. We've been Matty P, Matty P. But everything Nevada said is spot on, and also Ryan Day has shown he has the ability to consistently hire a good D coordinator. Listen, the Kerry Combs was an outlier. He came back to Ohio State. He was great when he was here. Before that, it was a tough situation, not a great hire, but every other hire was great. Jeff Hafley, shoot, even the nose hire was a good hire. I mean, clearly, even though we got the hotter girl now, it was still a good hire. So I feel like a D coordinator, as good as Matty P is more easily replaceable based off the track record than a Brian Hartline, who has been a key cog in the building of this program. So I agree, Nevada.
Yeah, and let me just say, I just want to say one other thing on that. I mean, yeah, look, the Knowles hire was a grand slam home run. We won a national. Anytime you hire somebody and you win a national championship, it's
Right.
good. And one thing at Matty P, you got to remember, we kept our entire defensive staff and then add Patricia. That doesn't usually happen when when you add a coordinator. Generally, he's bringing guys with him, or
True.
you're changing out everybody else. We kept all the assistants from that national championship team last year and brought him in, and he was able to integrate seamlessly for those guys, which is a tribute to Matty P. And again, just an A plus hire by Ryan Day, because I think it was really important to him that he find somebody that those guys respected enough to stay in the job, because they didn't feel like they're being recruited over or promoted over. And Matt Patricia, in his 3 Super Bowl rings, is one of the guys that those guys go, wow, okay, I respect that. I'll stay here. I'll keep my job and I'll do my thing, and I can learn from this guy. And that's why that's the magic of the 2025 defense, in my opinion. It's not just the Matty P show, it's Matty P plus the other assistant coaches all really buying in and
Yeah.
playing off their experiences, what they've had, going up to this point. But you can just feel like it's a really united group this year, and that's fantastic for Ohio State.
Yep, great point. And the fact that Matty P, a three-time Super Bowl winning champion, was able to humble himself and come into a situation and work with guys and not have an ego, absolutely amazing. But I do believe it's Ryan Day leading that charge, the respect for Ryan Day, all of that. It starts from the top, so props to Ryan Day for sure. Gio did. I like that profile pic with the black helmet with the red leaves. Geo did. That's fire. Thanks for the 5. Top high. What's that? Yeah, top high school field goal kickers won't come here because they'll be regulated to extra points and kickoffs. Think about that. We scored TDs. Yeah, it's a fair point. I think I guess my response to that is you got to recruit, man. You got to recruit. Maybe NIL package it up a little bit within reason for a kicker. Get guys to come here. I mean, I hear you, but I don't know, man. I feel like we got other things to offer to kind of curtail that point, Nevada. What you think?
Let me solve this problem. Okay. All you got to do is go to the MAC or go to all the lower schools for the kids that have all been auditioning for you basically for the last 3 years kicking,
Yeah.
and pick the best one and bring them to Ohio State, because they all want to go to, they all want to kick under the brightest lights and play for the national championship. And you're in, playing for, you know, Bowling Green or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And just go find that kid, because then you don't have to guess if you can kick at the college level. You already know
Yeah.
that he can kick at the college level. Um, and you can find, and those kids will line up to play here. That is the way to do it for the kicker. I would have a revolving door of the best fourth or fifth year kicker every year coming out of NIL, and there's plenty of them available. I mean, everybody can kick the football, but this way you don't have to guess. I don't want to project from high school to college in terms of kicking. I want somebody who's kicked, the Will Howard of kickers is what I want every year.
Ah,
I want
I
a
like it.
veteran 5th, 6th year guy. I know what I'm going to get. Throw him out there. Let him kick the football. That's the way I'd play it.
That's great. I love it. I love that game plan. That's perfect. It makes sense. Um, yeah, let's do it. Implement that. Hit your people
Yep.
in the whack and let them know, like, get on it. And why haven't you already been on it? That should have already been in the works, but whatever. Great point. All right. Last super chat here from A. Willis. Thanks for the 4.99. Beautiful profile pic as well. Nice pictures. What is your confidence level in Brian Hartline as a play caller going forward after the start he's had, and grade his start? OH Nevada?
I oh
All right, what you got for that?
I'm giving Brian an A minus. I'm giving him an A minus, just because of our struggles in the running game and in the red zone. Um, but I think he's done a good job. I think he's done a very credible job, and I think the job that they've done kind of unwrapping the Julian Sane present for us, here, every week he gets a little bit more, gets a little bit more, gets a little bit more. I think has been masterful. And obviously Ryan Day's in there, obviously Billy Fessler's in there, but he's the OC. So I want, let's put it this way: if Julian Sand was struggling, we'd be blaming Brian Hartline. So I want to give him his cake because Julian Sand's been so freaking good. So I'd give him an A-. I think it's a difficult job, maybe a B+. But I think he's getting better in terms of doing it. I just think, I really want to see more misdirection in the running game, counters, traps, reverses, other thing, a little bit more unpredictability, get away from straight RPOs and runs into the middle. Um, did you watch the Vanderbilt game at all? Did you watch Vanderbilt versus Alabama?
No.
I know it was, yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, who are they playing? I think it was Vanderbilt, Alabama. But they ran a play where they did like a fake handoff to the running back, almost like running up the middle, and
Hmm.
then the running back would run up the middle, and then they would shovel past him after they faked the handoff to him. You know what I'm saying? And it worked. It kept working. They kept doing it over and over again, and it was so beautiful. It was like this little iteration of a thing. I'd never seen that play before. So it was like a fake handoff. The running back would then go to the middle, and then the quarterback would shovel past to him. And because generally when you fake the handoff, the guy goes, you kind of let him go. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And then they hit him with the shove pass, and man, he was going for 8 yards, 7 yards near the end zone. He walked right in the end zone. But
Ooh.
I just use that as an example of, like, come on, man, there's all sorts of great running concepts, running plays, and other things you can do. We need to show a little bit more creativity in terms of our running attack, have that match up with that. But I think Hartline's going to be really good. I know they feel like Brian Hartline's going to be really good, and I think he's improving with every week. He's getting better and better. So that's why I'm giving him the B+, A-.
Yeah, I was gonna say B+ as well instead of A-. Um, listen, the play calling, as I said a couple of days ago, to me is one of the quick knee jerk lazy takes from fans who want to just respond with a diagnosis of what they believe they're seeing. That doesn't mean Brian Hartline's been perfect. There's no perfect play caller, but I do feel like he's better than what some fans have said. I like that, and Ryan Day has complimented him publicly about how he's ran plays that were, he used the word unselfish, and he's ran plays and rolled things out there that was suitable and needed to get the win, like Texas. Okay. People went, oh, play calling was bad. Well, they had a game plan going into that game and they executed the game plan. And that's why, not Nevada, Coach Day said he was unselfish with his play calling to stick to the plan and get to the path of getting the win. Also, one other thing I'll say is that I agree that we need more creativity, but I'll give kudos to Brian Hartline for setting up and projecting plays. Remember on the other pod a few pods ago, I was talking about how the fake handoff and fake orbit motion reverse to JJ Smith left Carnell Tate wide open. Well, we've been running that play, either the handoff with the orbit motion coming around, or handing to the orbit motion, and we've scored on that play. And now we took it to the next level and faked both and hit Carnell Tate wide open. So putting that on film, in my opinion, is the football 101 of setting a defense up by having them watch film to see what we've been doing repeatedly and then hitting them over the top with something a little different. So I like that. That projects well, and I think his mind is working well, and we saw that on display. So I'm excited about Heartline, Nevada.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, some of the stuff that they've done. I mean, it's subtle, but there was a play against Washington where we rolled out Julian Sand around the goal line, and Carnell Tate was there, and Carnell Tate didn't keep flowing with them to the right. Carnell Tate just stopped and
Mm-hmm.
just kind of sat down, let everybody kind of flow past him, and then
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's like little things. I love stuff like that. When I look at that, I was like, man, that is great design right there,
yeah,
and
yep,
and Brian, Brian's the guy's doing the passing concepts and stuff, but that's the game inside the game. You think it's just roll out and run, but it's just like, hey, everybody's flowing to the right. Don't just keep flowing with them and staying it. You sit down, let them go past you, and then bang, hit it. I think got down to the 1 yard line, and then we end up
yep.
scoring on the next couple of plays or something. But yeah, Brian's he's getting better every week you can see he's getting better, growing more confident with it. And I expect him to take another step against the Illini on Saturday.
Yep, very excited, and we will have our score predictions on the next pod. So excited about this game. I think we're going to handle business. The question is, what's going to be my score prediction, and we'll see. I was watching the Purdue game. I'm going to watch a little bit more of their games, and just to kind of take it in a little more. But I'm excited to get a big win on the road. But I will have my score prediction next time. Nevada, any last words before we hop off?
Yeah, no, just look, if you like this podcast, consider subscribing to BuckeyeScoop.com. This is where Mezis and I are the other 23 hours a day. You want to talk to us there. You like this stuff. You like talking about Ohio State football. You like being a smarter fan. Consider joining BuckeyeScoop.com. We'd love to have you over there. Like I said, we're over there the other 23 hours a day when we're not potting, and we'd really appreciate the support.
Yep. And we have a lot of fun. I mean, we have so many different topics. Obviously, football, Ohio State football dominates, but I mean, we talk steak, we talk, I mean, wine, I mean, like whatever. We have a ton of fun, a lot of activity. And of course, the inside information is superb. So, yeah, I definitely stamp of approval as well. So,
Oh, right. Thank you, B.
but cool. But all right, listen, Buckeye School family, we love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Chat on fire per usual. And we will see y'all next time. Go Bucks. Peace.